Welcome everyone. I am delighted to speak with Monisha Deshpande and Amy Liu from our Cloud Value Advisor team. Today we're going to talk about financial resilience and specifically how enhanced operational effectiveness leads to financial resilience within organizations. We know this is top of mind for every leader today. So Monisha, can you break down for us what enhanced operational effectiveness is and how organizations can put it into practice?
Yes, Priyanka, thank you. I would love to. So we're seeing a pattern with organizations given this macroeconomic environment. Yes, cost savings still very important, but what we're seeing is organizations wanting to stretch themselves and really thinking through how they can either solve complex business problems, nagging problems that they've had in the past, or achieve huge opportunities that are in front of them by implementing solutions that drive operational efficiency. So they're focused on how do we build long-lasting solutions that provide long-lasting value. So for example, if an organization thinks about their data strategy, what can they now do with data that they couldn't do before in terms of advanced analytics, AI, which is, clearly the buzzword these days, machine learning, to really drive that step change in value.
That all definitely makes sense, but I know it can be hard to get it right. So, Amy, what have you seen be important for successful implementations?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Priyanka. When we look across organizations, one of the most important but often overlooked attributes of successful implementation is actually having a robust ML operating model. We understand that organizations want to move fast. We get that. But in this case, it actually pays to slow down to speed up. So I'll give you an example. Without a modern AI platform or a operating model, it can take very long as 12 to 18 months for customers to take an AI model from ideation into production. And that's not to mention all the governance, maintenance, data refreshes, and tuning that is required to make sure that your model stays relevant, safe, and actionable. But because it takes so long, and sometimes some models actually never make it, right? It often means that only highly complex, highly valued models are actually considered worth the effort. So if we're talking to a customer who's been deploying like this for the past couple of decades without a proper AI platform in place, it means that their view of the role that AI plays in their business strategy is highly skewed towards this high risk, high reward concept. Now, on the flip side, if there is a modern AI platform in place along with the operating model, it significantly brings down the cost to bring something to production, actually to such a degree that it begins to disrupt the role AI plays in their business. So all of a sudden, the business can think beyond these high risk, high reward models, but instead be able to push smaller incremental changes at a much higher frequency. And this not only brings agility, but leads to a higher likelihood of successful implementation of anything that they want to deploy. And the last thing I want to call out is that it's not just about doing it faster and cheaper, but it's about the actual evolution of the role of AI itself within the business that starts to change once this capability is available, making AI much more accessible and impactful throughout the organization.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about fast and cheap, right? It's about the actual value and the innovation. So, what are some areas where you have seen the biggest opportunities for quick wins, Monisha?
Um, and I'm glad that we're mentioning quick wins. I think that's important, right? Because this can get really complicated. As Amy said, it can get really complicated really fast. So here's a few ideas. I'll start with marketing. This is near and dear to my heart. I think the opportunity here is to improve marketing ROI, right? And I'll give you examples that span kind of basic advanced analytics use cases all the way to, AI and potentially even Gen AI. But how do you drive personalization, right, with your customers? How do you understand as an organization what my customer LTV is? How do I then start to predict my customers' actions even before they really know what they want, right? I think that's the holy grail. So we're able to do that with modern data and AI solutions, and this allows us organizations to do a couple of things. One is obviously increase revenue, but the other is to reduce their customer acquisition costs. So a nice quick win that kind of balances the fold in terms of benefits. And research has demonstrated to us that when marketers drive a data-driven, strategy, they're able to achieve at least a 2.5x increase in revenue. So that's a pretty strong business case. Another area is supply chain. I think everybody, all these industries, manufacturing and retail in particular, have really struggled with supply chain disruptions and how that's affected their entire kind of revenue chain, if you will. So to implement supply chain in a way that you can reduce risk of your overall supply chain is a pretty large endeavor. Most organizations have already invested millions of dollars in deploying a pretty sophisticated supply chain solution. So what we tell customers is, great, you already have this. How can we help accelerate your investments in your supply chain, right? Given the latest in AI and what you can do with data, right? So I think quick wins are very applicable here. Some examples include shelf monitoring, right? That enables us to really inform our replenishment decisions. Another one, if we're concerned about labor, which, there are labor shortages right now, would be around labor scheduling. And then lastly, we're seeing some interest in route optimization, right? So all of these provide some nice quick wins within the realm of supply chain. The last area is around customer experience. What we're seeing for the hospitality, the telecommunications, the government sectors is that they are struggling with an overload of call volume. And they're not able to handle these calls quickly, right? Which leads to a backlog of calls as well as poor customer service. So this is the big struggle. If you combat this with the macroeconomic environment, which means that we have a constraint on resources, as well as this is a particular area where there's high attrition, hard to hold on to employees, it causes a lot of problems. So if I were to think of another area for quick win, this may be it. And what we're seeing organizations do is they're leveraging self-service channels, as well as AI solutions such as Google Cloud's Call Center AI to automatically contain that high call volume, right? So the more transactional calls, the more repetitive calls are contained in this way. This frees up resources to then handle the more complex issues, which then drives up customer satisfaction, but also provides more rewarding work for their employees, which hopefully then lowers attrition. So here's just a few examples.
Focus on quick wins. Yeah, all for it, right? Thanks, Monisha and Amy. I know there is so much more to say about this topic. If you're interested in learning more about the specifics of your organization, please contact your Google Cloud sales rep to schedule a meeting with one of our advisors or just sign up for a workshop. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Priyanka.
Thank you.